मैं ते बड़ा सोच रही सीगी कि लाहौरियां दे नाल गल करनी है ते अंग्रेजी च गल करनी पेगी तां बड़ा जुल्म है। सो तुसी मेरी झिझक खोल दित्ती है। सो if I could request कि मैं स्क्रीन शेयर कर सकां, because Google Meet में ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल नहीं कीता हुआ है. So if I could be given the permission by the administrator, my PowerPoint I have prepared, and I would like to start by acknowledging the land from where I have joined. So can I do screen share, please?
रव साहब जरा देखिए, इसके अंदर स्क्रीन शेयर का एक ऑप्शन होगा, वो जरा दीजिए.
So while that is happening, I'll make use of time. I would like to thank for this great opportunity to be part of the historic Punjab University and this Punjab University Library Book Club that has been meeting for so long. And what a great thing. If we have to be good writers, particularly all of us who are scholars, students, we strive to be better writers. And to be a better writer, one needs to be a better reader. Not only to be a better writer, to be a good human being. I think we learn so much. That's what I feel, that those of us who can read, historically, many of us used to listen to stories. So this is one such opportunity, book clubs, we listen to stories, we listen to input from those who have read a particular book. So I feel that those of you who are in attendance, what a great venture, and absolutely privilege is mine. So I will just, without further ado, do screen share. And please let me know once you can see my screen.
मैम स्क्रीन शेयरिंग आ गई होगी आपके पास.
हाँ जी, आपको नजर आ रहा है मेरा स्क्रीन इस वक्त?
जी आ रहा है.
जी हाँ जी, मुझे अब आप लोग नहीं नजर आ रहे तो मैं बीच बीच में स्क्रीन शेयर बंद कर दूंगी. सो सबसे पहले आई वुड लाइक टू से ASWEL. ASWEL is it means greetings or hello from in Halkemelam language. Where I am located in Abbotsford, which is the English name, the colonial name, that land belongs to Stolo, who are the people of river. So people are the indigenous people of this area. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ इसलिए यूरोपियंस आए ने ते उन्होंने तो एक पासे खुडे लगा दिता और जमीन उन्होंने सारी ले ली गई. So now what we are doing is, across the country there is an effort to reconcile, to truth and reconciliation. And those of you who listen to world news, they may have even come across very sad news related to residential schools. Particularly scholars interested in indigenous studies, I would highly recommend you to read about the remains of 215 children that were found, school children, because they were forcibly taken away from their families, far away into schools where they were not treated properly most of the time. And many of these children died there. So remains of some children, 215 children were found just this week. So it has been a very painful time for the entire country, in particular for the indigenous community. So I humbly acknowledge that I am joining this book club from the land of the Stolo people, where I live and work. They speak upriver dialect, which is called Halkemelam. And this land it's a beautiful land of mountains, rivers, lakes, flora, fauna, and the indigenous elders throughout have made efforts to use natural resources in a sustainable fashion. Whereas sustainability has become a catchphrase now, sustainability has been practiced by indigenous people since centuries. So very respectfully and humbly, I acknowledge that our university is also located on Stolo land, and Stolo land is the land of Matsku Nation and Sumas Nation of Stolo Nation. So I don't have to share with you that I am going to be talking about Anita Rao Badami's Can You Hear the Night Bird Call? Are you able to see my picture at all on the screen?
Yes. सभी को तस्वीर नजर आ रही मैम।
Okay, चलिए ठीक है. So this is the novel here, and it has been a favorite novel. Favorite in the sense because of its accessibility and all sorts of reasons I'll be sharing with you. So मुझे आप बताइए कि आप क्या पसंद करेंगे कि मैं मिक्स्ड लैंग्वेज में बोलूं कि अंग्रेजी में ही बोलूं, ताकि आई एम रीचिंग आउट टू एवरीवन.
It's up to you, Dr. Palmer. If you go with the mixed language, that would be very good. We have no.
Okay.
We will enjoy, inshallah.
Okay, all right. I'll do that because I saw that there would be people from diverse backgrounds as far as departments and so on and so forth. So with due respect to colleagues who are here and to students, if there is anything that I say and you are not able to follow what I have said, please do not hesitate to call out. So Anita Rao Badami here, she is of Indian origin and moved to Canada a long time ago and settled here, and now she lives in Montreal and wrote her first novel Tamarind Mame, and after that her second novel Hero's Walk, which I think was published in 99, was received with critical acclaim, and her third novel, which is the novel of subject today, Can You Hear the Nightbird Call, was published in 2006, in fall of 2006, and was very well received. What I feel is, having read it maybe 50 or 60 times by now, that it is the accessibility. The language used is very accessible. Why I selected the book for this book club was because of the responses I have received from students. They absolutely love it. Otherwise, I was spoiled for choice कि कौन सी किताब जो अभी हाल में ही पिछले 1-2 साल में पब्लिश हुई हैं वो आपको नज़र करूं, अपना नज़रिया आपको नज़र करूं. But I selected this one. So first of all, just a little overview of the novel, and then I'll go into details. Setting, place and time. So, setting, of course, includes place, time and atmosphere. So let us just go with place and time. So the novel, in different geographies, we have undivided India. So the village, which is in what is now the Pakistani Punjab. And then we also have post-partition in independent. And also you have Delhi and Bangalore as settings, and Vancouver. So this is the beauty of the novel, that it straddles between South Asia, basically India and Canada, and in Canada in Vancouver specifically. And in Vancouver, we are taken in early 20th century, the time period of Komagata Maru, those of you who might be familiar with it. So here it is. I will just draw your attention to the bottom of the screen where you have 1914 written. So Voyage of Komagata Maru, those of you who are not aware about Komagata Maru, in 1914, a ship full of Indians left from Hong Kong, and they had gone from India. And remember, this is undivided India. And they were in Hong Kong, and from there, Gurditt Singh chartered a ship called Komagata Maru and went towards Vancouver as migrants. But because of racist practices and discriminatory policies, they were not allowed to disembark. So for 2 months, so on 23rd May 1914, Komagata Maru reached the shore of Vancouver. They were not allowed to come to the shore, so they anchored in the middle of the harbor. And for 2 months, all sorts of advocacy kept going on that, let them disembark. But the government did not relent. In fact, they found all sorts of ways to send them back. In end of July, Komagata Maru, under the threat of gunship Rainbow, was sent back, and they returned and they were not allowed to, passengers were not allowed to get off anywhere else until they reached Calcutta and Baj Harbor. I won't go in those details at the moment. They're a very important part of history, of course. But it is important in the context of the book because the father of one of the characters, Harjot Singh, he has very minor role in the book. But the fact that he tries to go to Canada and comes back with the so near yet so far plays an important role, BBG in BBG's life. So 1947 is one other setting. As I mentioned to you, the novel is from early 20th century up to the late 80s. So we have 47 as one of the markers, then 3 key events. So each character in the novel, main character, is tied to some of the events that I will come to shortly. So 1984, you have Operation Blue Star in June, around this time in 1984, when the Indian Army stormed the Golden Temple, Darbar Sahib, because there were militants who had made bastion inside the Khalistanis inside the Darbar Sahib. Then on 31st October, to avenge for attack on the Golden Temple, 2 Sikh bodyguards of the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi assassinated her. And as a revenge tactic, so many Sikhs in Delhi and other parts of India were massacred. A large number of them were massacred. So all these events, they form a backdrop of our story and play a key role in the lives of our characters. And then another important one, 1985, the explosion. There was an Air India flight from Vancouver to Delhi, and a bomb was placed on it, and just off the coast of Ireland, the aircraft blew up. So in the mid-air and midway between India and Canada, almost halfway. So that mid and in between is an important point. So I wanted to just draw your attention to diaspora. Some of you may not know the word. Most of you would be familiar. Diaspora एक लफ्ज़ हैगा जिहड़ा इस्तेमाल करते हैं. ये जिहड़े अपने ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਤਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਲੋਕ ਗਏ ਹੋਣ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਰਨ ਕਰਕੇ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ, ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਗਏ ਹੋਣ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਵਜੂਹਾਤ ਹੋਣ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ ਹੋਣ. ਸੋ ਉਹ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਮੁਲਕ 'ਚ ਵਸ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ. ਅੱਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਐਂਸੈਸਟਰੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਪਿਛੋਕੜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ that is also with their homeland country. So home and homeland are important points. So diaspora is true and spiritual, as the term tells you. It comes from Greek, and it was largely applied to Jewish diaspora earlier on, but since the mid 20th century, it is widely applied as in African diaspora, Chinese diaspora, South Asian diaspora, and so on and so forth. There are all sorts of terms as in imaginary home, exile, catastrophe, alienation, identity, hybridity, mobility, migration. These are various terms that are associated with diaspora. So cultural representations of partition, and as so Badami's novel also does that. And as R. Radhakrishnan has very appropriately said, there is more than enough room for multiple versions of the same reality. So partition, so many people have written about it. In fact, while partition was taking place and people were migrating, writers were writing, and we are able to understand a lot of cultural narrative by reading that. So this is one such example, albeit written in the early 21st century. Now, key characters. BBG, or her name is Sharanjit Kaur, but she's known as BBG, and she's tied to 47 and 1984. And she's tied to other events too, but these play an important role in her life. Nimmo, 1947 and 1984, Nimmo is BBG's niece. Leela, she's an Anglo-Indian, and she's from Bangalore, and her husband moves to Canada, and she is specifically connected to the bombing of the Air India Flight 182. And then there is Jasbir, who is Nimmo's son. He is, in a way, adopted by BBG and is taken because BBG has no children of her own. So she takes Jasbir with her to Canada, much against Jasbir's own wishes. So there are all sorts of issues there. And I would I am not going to tell you all the story of the novel, because then the joy will be lost. Even as I tell you some little details, I was thinking, should I tell, should I not? So I'll be judicious in sharing with you some details, because I want you to enjoy it when you read it. So it's primarily a story of three women, and that makes it quite a unique novel, the way it is presented to us. So BBG here, these are various terms that I have taken out from the book, but I'll just give you a little overview of her. She lives in her village. Village is called Panjore, and it's supposed to be in undivided Punjab. And in the village, there is somebody whose father is already in Canada, and he sends things for them. Once upon a time, somebody must have come and brought something. So like lavender soap and other things. And they obviously, because father will have sent money, they have better life as far as living in the village is concerned. So Sharanjeet, as a young girl, is severely influenced by that, and her father, inspired by that, goes on board Komagata Maru to Canada, and this is a journey which is an unsuccessful journey. He returns, he does not speak at all, and one night he just gets up, as they say in Punjabi, apne manji te sutta hunda hai, ek din swere uthda hai te chala janda hai, aur koi khabar nahi ki kithe gaya, ki hoya uda, and he just vanishes from the novel except for some short reference. The key point is that BBG has such desire that at one point, when a young man comes to see, for marriage, to see her elder sister, BBG knows that she's very beautiful, like Sharanjeet. So what she does is, because the man lived in Canada and she so badly wanted to go to Canada, before he arrives home, she shows her face and bats her eyelashes. And lo and behold, that man says that I will marry your daughter, but I'll marry the younger one, and so on. So this whole notion of stealing her sister's fate is very important, because later on, so BBG goes to Canada before partition. She's already in Canada. So Badami, here I would pause and take your attention to some critical phenomena, that there would have been so many people who lived outside of what was undivided India, and then India is divided. And what happened to those people? Many of them lost their family members. So there is no home to go to. So where is your home? So it's a very complicated question. What happened to those people? And so BBG happens to be one of those. So her sister, who after her marriage, and she lived in a village called Dauri Kala, and Dauri Kala, as they say, had vanished from the face of the earth. So now BBG always carries this guilt, that had she not batted her eyelashes, had she not stolen her sister's fate, her sister would be alive. Things would be different. And then that guilt also ties with her. If anything bad happens to BBG, so she takes it as that God is punishing me for what I had done. Because her mother used to tell her as a little kid, how it is so common in our cultures that this phenomena of, don't do this, otherwise God will punish you. So that narrative stayed with her, and she many times thinks. So all this is connected. And how BBG, on the other hand, makes her life with her husband, who is known as Paji. So in Vancouver, she sets up a restaurant and is very open-minded, very confident woman, kind also, but then she makes people work as well. It's a very interesting character. Often seen as somewhat selfish, as I just shared with you. Nimmo, her niece, she's daughter of Kamar, and she's of course orphaned. Her mother was killed during partition, and then as a little child with a big kafla, somehow or the other she came to Delhi. And so this trauma, those of you who are planning to read the book, I do hope that the library has a copy. If not, I would highly encourage it. And these are page references, her memories. So she is highly traumatized person. So through her character, Nimmo's character, Anita Rao Badami shows us the continuum of violence. So Nimmo witnessed 1947, and later on in Delhi, she will witness 1984. She lost her family in 1947. Is she going to lose her family in 1984? That's for you to read. I will not tell you. This whole notion of intergenerational traumas, which we will have seen colonial violence and then the next generation and the next generation, as well as the continuing of violence, state violence and social violence that is brought to us through Nimmo's character. And her insecurities, how she tries to keep her family safe because she had encountered this horrific experience when she was a child. Third character is Leela. Now, Leela is another fascinating character because if somebody asked me which one is your favorite character, I'm unable to pinpoint because I love each character equally. So, Leela's mother, Rosa Pierce, is a German and her father is a South Indian Brahmin. So, Leela is a quintessential character who is caught between two worlds in more than one way. She's a mixed race child, so she's not accepted by her paternal grandmother, who is all the time, as a South Indian Brahmin, that some people are so focused in caste narrative. So Leela is not really accepted. She's part of the family, but she's not really accepted. And how these discriminatory attitudes manifest. At one point in the novel, when she is a child, her grandmother was going to narrate stories to all the children in the house and neighborhood and so on. So there is a chair. So what Leela does is she quickly goes and sits next to the leg of the chair so that she could be closest to her akka, her grandmother, when she was to narrate the stories. And then suddenly she finds that somehow or the other, her cousins had come and sat there and she had been pushed to the back and she didn't even come to know that. So that's how the subtlety with which she is slowly pushed away, especially, I'm sure all of us have sat in crowded spaces on the floor, and as you are sitting, somehow or the other, you keep moving because somebody's come, you're trying to accommodate and so on. So this movement, the spatial movement, from close-up of being close to her grandmother and then moved away is very interesting. There are various references that I have posted, which I won't read for you one by one, but they all reflect her in between. Frog is also amphibious. Frog can live in water as well as on land. So what happens to her, this is very important, caught between two worlds. I wanted to read a little bit about Trishanku and tell you about Trishanku. So Badami, what she does is, she draws from Hindu mythology and particularly the tale of Trishanku to highlight a parallel between Trishanku and Leela. So I'll read a short piece for you. Page 76. And the novel has 29 chapters and there are few parts. So each part is related to each character. So part 2 is Leela. And here we have the story of Trishanku. Many centuries ago, there was a king named Trishanku who wanted to take his body with him to heaven when he died. He went with his absurd request to the great sage Vishwamitra, who agreed to send the king to heaven in his mortal form. He chanted mantras and performed such powerful penances that the three worlds shook with the force of his will. Soon Trishanku began to rise heavenwards. This unnatural occurrence raised such chaos in the three realms that the gods became alarmed and begged Vishwamitra to stop defying the laws of the universe, which decreed that human beings should shed their worldly skin before leaving earth. Vishwamitra gave in to the pleas, but because he had promised Trishanku that he would send him to heaven, he stopped the king in the void between heaven and earth and created another heaven around him. So he is caught, Trishanku is caught between two worlds. Now, the proverbial, expression that I'm sure all of us have used at one point or the other. And if you haven't, then I'm sure there'll be time you'll use it. So between here and there, home and diaspora. So this is proper representation of diasporic condition, caught between two worlds, especially people like myself. I grew up in India, I moved to Canada. So I have strong affiliation with the land I have come from, the culture I have come from, and I'm well adjusted here too. Nevertheless, like it isn't easy. I consider this as a job posting here. If somebody was to ask me, and I love living here. Nevertheless, my roots are still in the land where I grew up. And in some cases, that becomes a tussle, particularly for the children who are born in diaspora, as we see in our text through other characters. So when somebody is neither here nor there, we say that they have attained Trishanku's heaven, not a very present state of being at all. So this hybridity that Badami presents to us by way of Leela is quite fascinating. So there is Jasbir's character. I especially chose Jasbir because he does play an important role. Three women are the main characters, but Jasbir does play an important role. He's brought there, adopted. He lived with Nimmo and his father. But BBG, again that selfish streak came up. And he comes to Vancouver, goes to the school system here, and he is Jasbir is a turban Sikh young boy. And turban Sikh means, as most of you would know, that Sikh men, even in children, they would grow their hair, they don't cut their hair, and it's called juda. So the juda is tied as a top knot, and a pagdi is tied. So that, even now, contemporary era, it's a major issue. So when the novel is published in 2006, it would be an issue, racism and discrimination against people. For example, hijab is a major issue in many countries of the world, and it does come up as a discriminatory factor. So here Jasbir is a character who through whom we also see multiculturalism of Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, come up, how multiculturalism functions in schools as well as racism. And Jasbir is also complex because he comes under the influence of a separatist who comes from England and gives lectures and highly inflammatory speeches, and he comes under his influence and he becomes a militant. He begins following the separatist movement with Khalistanis. And what happens to him, that's for you to find out when you read the book. So various themes are there. Home, I've already mentioned, homeland, belonging, love, memory, history, selfishness, guilt, buildings, Roma, particularly, coming of age in case of Jasbir, nation, nationalism, then differences, etc., as I mentioned. So I've already shared this with you, home and lost homeland. It is very important, lost homeland, where you cannot return. So for BBG, when partition occurs, she has no home to go to because her home is lost. Her sister is killed, family is killed, there is nobody left. So for her, home now is Amritsar, which was her husband's home city. So when she visits Amritsar, and that's how it is, surrogate home, as I've argued elsewhere. So this is another important point, as you will read, that when one is living in diaspora, what happens back home in your country, at times things appear highly magnified and one gets very concerned too. And sometimes they are magnified, they're more than magnified in actuality, and one is concerned and worried. But this is something that Badami presents to us much like stargazers, and it's a lovely quote from the novel that I thought I will share with you. The obsessed stargazers, because people who move from home, some have no love for their country, which is fine because they may have suffered and so on and so forth, or have moved forward and do not want to look backwards. But there are many who will be doing splits between two cultures, you know, as Badami has used in the novel. So there is this whole narrative of history. Paji's character, BBG's husband, you know, he has in his room photographs. So anyone would think that they were his ancestors, family members. No, to create some kind of lineage, he had just bought photographs of various Indians and placed them on his wall. And people used to think that, you know, they were his relatives. So now what is the factor? Why does he do that? Why does one want connection, lineage? So again, connection with home, with people, to belong. So that's very important. So that way, through the photographs, there is some construction of history going on. So as I had written something on partition a long time ago, and in that I had talked about, at that time the novel hadn't been published, only a snippet was available online, and based on that, this is what I had talked about, that the novel forces open dialogue, because, you know, sometimes people don't like to talk about difficult subjects. So literature allows us to confront our fears at times. It allows us to grapple with what may be otherwise not very pleasant. So one character that I wanted to talk about was Colonel Samuel Hunt. And after that, I will wrap this up because it is, I had set aside 30 minutes time. So I'm just going to stay with that. So Delhi Junction Cafe is a restaurant that BBG opens and runs it very successfully. She opens it in 1961. And in the book in 1967, we are brought into the restaurant. So sensorium for those who are engaged with senses. So we have 5 senses, you know, sense of course, vision, visual, then touch, tactile, then sound as in oral, and taste as in gustatory, and smell as in olfactory. So a restaurant has everything, you know, you see the visual, it's a visual feast, and your mouth is watering even before you get into a restaurant, and so on and so forth. Smell. So Colonel Samuel Hunt comes there, and you know, he is a colonial relic. He's an old man who according to Badami, whose eyes and ears are closed because of the skin color. So he has discriminatory attitudes. At the same time, he also has passion for India. Each week he comes to eat food there. He would have served as a colonial master. So he comes across, and he is a racist man. Nevertheless, he has another facet. So he's not a one-dimensional character. Much like Harjot Singh, Colonel Hunt also is a very minor character, but he does play an important part in allowing us to explore certain narratives. So I guess the time is almost done, and I will wrap up with this suggestion that as and when you can lay your hands on Badami's novel, you know, please have a read. It's very easy to read. My first response when I read was that there was no event related to South Asian diaspora in Canada and largely in India that Badami had spared. There is reference to 71 war, there is reference to Indochina war of 62, and how those who are living in diaspora for some days, for some weeks, they stop going to Mrs. Wu, who's a Chinese woman, her grocery store, because India and China were at war, and after some days it gets all right. Same happens during 1971 war, and so on and so forth. Like that, there are various moments. But what I liked about the book was the way the characters were presented. The tragedy of Nimmo's life, as well as BBG and Leela, they make the novel far more enjoyable. I have continued to enjoy the novel as I have read it again and again. The first time I was kind of all right with it. My response was maybe because my expectations were very different. But I would highly recommend it to you. So all sorts of things are there. I will stop sharing, I guess. So there. So keeping time in perspective, I have just sort of given an overview and tried to introduce students, particularly undergraduate students, to some terms like sensorium. Sensory imagery is very important. You know, we are immersed. You must have heard immersive experience. What is immersive experience? You know, go to a restaurant. That is immersive experience. In a classroom, it is immersive. Your colleagues, your professors, nowadays, of course, we are using online. Even this is immersive in a way. I've been looking at this camera, you know, whereas in the hope that there are people other side who are looking at me and who can hear my voice, and, you know, I am gesticulating, so the visuality is there, and so on and so forth. So sensorium is very important in sensory imagery, and then of course diasporic and diaspora and diasporic studies. So thank you so much.
Very much. Thank you, Dr. Parjot Palmer. It was really a wonderful introductory talk, and we really enjoyed, and definitely will go for the novel to have a study. There are some questions. I would like to recite some of them. There is a Shagufta Khokar. Why the writers found their selves so important to write about their miseries, pathetic experience.
Sweetest are the songs that tell of saddest thought. I'm just reminded, that, and the same has been translated into a beautiful song sung by Talat Mahmood. है सबसे मधुर वो गीत जिन्हें हम दर्द के सुर में गाते हैं. भाई लाइफ जे तुसी हसदे हो, लाइफ ते रोना भी बड़ा जरूरी है. And it's not necessarily that what is tragic cannot appeal to us. What is it how does a story appeal to us? You know, through words, the expressions. You know, the beauty of a writer's work is when you are reading and you end up saying, "Ke yaar kamal karta, kya likhe?" And you remember those lines or those phrases, and I have the luxury, I can say it. You remember those 40 years, 47 years after reading also, you know, and you remember them because of the choice of words, and they may be simple words, but the penetration with which the author could reach into the sad and the tragic and presents to us, as I said. I hope I have understood your question correctly, Shagufta ji, and feel free to expand upon it. Why not? Why not? My answer is why not. If you want a very short answer, that is why not.
ਅੱਛਾ, ਇੱਕ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਅਲੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਮਿਕਸ ਸੀਗਾ. ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਦ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਵਕਤ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਮੇਰਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਇਹ ਵੇ, does your heart is in the state of diaspora, the sense of missing your native country?
ਉਹ ਤੇ ਬਗੈਰ ਪੁੱਛੇ ਹੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਪੂਰੇ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਹੱਥ ਖੜੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਆਫ ਕੋਰਸ ਨੈਚੁਰਲੀ ਜਿਸ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਲ ਬੜ ਕੇ ਪਲੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ, ਬੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਉਸ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਥੋੜਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ. ਅਰੇ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਾਈਡ ਤੋਂ, ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਤੋਂ, ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਾਵਾਂ, ਕੁਛ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਯੂ ਨੋ, ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਤੇ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਮੰਨ ਲਓ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ, ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਹੋਵੇ, ਨੈਚੁਰਲ ਕਲੈਮਿਟੀ ਹੋਏ ਜਾਂ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਮੇਡ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ, one feels, you know. So ਇਨਸਾਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਅਸੀਂ, ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਅਨਲੈਸ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਉਹ ਬੜਾ ਆਟੋਮੇਟਨ ਹੋਣਾ. ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਲੋਕ ਦੇਖਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ 'ਚ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਫਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਂਦਾ, ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਹੈਰਾਨ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ, ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ. ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਨਾਲ ਬੜੀ ਜੁੜੀ ਹਾਂ, ਯੂ ਨੋ, ਜਿਸ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਬਾਨ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਪਲੇਜ਼ਰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੋਇਟਰੀ ਪੜੋ, ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਪੜੋ, ਹੁਣ ਜੇ ਅਨੀਤਾ ਰਾਓ ਬਦਾਮੀ ਦੀ ਨੋਵਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਅਨੀਤਾ ਰਾਓ ਬਦਾਮੀ ਖੁਦ ਤੇ ਸਾਊਥ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੇਖੋ ਬੜੀ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਕੁਛ ਕਲਚਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕੈਪਚਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ, ਬਾਕੀ ਲੀਲਾ ਦੇ ਥਰੂ ਤਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ। ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ, ਕਿ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਛੋਟੀ ਛੋਟੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, ਉਹ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈ ਉਹਦਾ ਇਹੀ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੀ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਆਈ ਗੈਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਟੁੱਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਤੇ ਜਿਸਲੇ ਡਿਮੈਂਸ਼ੀਆ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਚੰਗੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤਦ ਹੀ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ। ਹਾਂਜੀ,
ਅੱਛਾ, ਆਖਰੀ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮਾਰੂਫ ਰਾਏ, what is the general idea or message of this novel?
I spotted it. It popped up here. Ki, what is the general message? I don't think so. There is a general message as such. You know, there are so many messages. Ki I personally would not be able to pinpoint one message out of the novel. So many violence, futility of violence, the ramifications of violence on individual lives. Because we look at statistics. ਕਿ ਵੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਪਾਰਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਇਆ ਤੇ ਇੰਨੇ 1 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਲੋਕ ਮਾਰੇ ਗਏ ਹੈ ਨਾ, 1 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ, ਬਟ ਜਿਸਲੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੈਮਲੀਜ਼ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਡਨਲੀ ਉਹ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਵਨ ਆਫ ਦ ਮੈਸੇजेस ਕਿ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ, whatever type of violence that takes place, it leads to tragedy in individual lives. It doesn't remain a statistic, because when there is, you know, when there is a larger number of killings or deaths due to an attack, or like the Air India bombing of Flight 182, or violence carried out by people as in 1984 November against Sikhs, or partition violence, then it becomes a statistic. But BBG, Nimmo and Leela, the way they have been presented to us, that in itself becomes the message. For me, that would be one message. If I have to select one message, that violence can only lead to ruination of lives.